Sun cast a shadow, a digital line is coming over the mountain and over your mind. Double down your Bitcoin, hang on for the ride. We're moving into the future, one block at a time. We're moving into the future, one block at a time.
Welcome to Once Upon a Coin, documenting the ongoing history of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And as always, I'm your storyteller, Jason Cassidy. Today's story has us looking at one of the foundational pieces of the entire blockchain world. It's the secret sauce behind your favorite NFTs, DeFi apps, and many of the fungible tokens out there today. It's also, slowly but surely, disrupting industry after industry as technology finds a way of replacing the jobs that we've been responsible for since the dawn of time. This is the story of smart contracts. Okay, so there's a lot to unpackage here. So let's start at the beginning and get a handle on what the heck a smart contract is and what they do. Smart contracts are a key figure in blockchain technology that allows for the automation of agreements and contracts. Its history predates blockchain and cryptocurrency as we know it today. So we actually have to go all the way back in time to the year 1994 to see the first seeds being planted. Netscape Navigator was being introduced to the masses. The Lion King, Forrest Gump, and The Shawshank Redemption were blowing up in theaters across the planet. And one computer scientist named Nick Szabo was about to introduce a concept to the world that would end up transforming society as we know it. And that's because he was about to release his paper called Smart Contracts, Building Blocks for Digital Markets. Szabo defined a smart contract as a computer program that can execute the terms of a traditional contract automatically. While this moment in time wasn't especially noteworthy to anyone outside of a niche group of computer scientists and cypherpunks, Szabo's work here would end up inspiring an entire generation of innovators who would help bring his idea to reality decades later. A while after releasing this paper, Szabo launched a virtual currency called BitGold, now clearly setting the stage for what was to come exactly 10 years later. And that's because in 2008, none other than Satoshi Nakamoto himself released the Bitcoin white paper, forever changing how the world looked at money and technology. With some obvious parallels between what Nick did in the 90s and what Satoshi did years later, there's naturally some people out there that believe that Nick Szabo is the one and only Satoshi Nakamoto himself. But that's a complete different story that really deserves its own episode. But because we love you so much here at Once Upon a Coin, yeah, you guessed it, we've actually got a Satoshi episode coming, so stay tuned for that if you find this to be an intriguing topic, and who the heck doesn't like a good mystery, am I right? In early 2009, the Bitcoin blockchain was officially launched, with the first block, called the Genesis block, kicking things off. Most of us that have been around crypto for a long time know the now iconic history of Bitcoin's early days. However, what most cryptonauts do not know is that Bitcoin was originally released with the ability to do fully self-executing smart contracts. These weren't used extensively in the early days, so for most people, Bitcoin wasn't what put smart contracts on the map for them. No, that honor was reserved for a blockchain project that would come out several years later, debuting on the Bitcoin Talk Forum on January 23rd, 2014. If you're wondering what I'm talking about here still, well, I won't leave you in suspense any longer. It was Ethereum. And while Ethereum did take some time to get its act together, launching the chain successfully and getting ICO investors their Ether, its destiny was now set.
The creation of Ethereum really changed the crypto space forever. As the first layer 1 protocol, it changed the game, allowing for a platform to exist on which any other developer could come and create their decentralized application, or just create other tokens that had the specific contract parameters that they wanted. And that really changed everything.
Ethereum would be the crypto project that would eventually popularize the concept of smart contracts and bring them to the masses. In the early days of blockchain-based smart contracts, they were fairly limited to some basic use cases, but this is still enough to get people excited about the potential that they held.
Banks, for example, could use it to issue loans or to offer automatic payments. Insurance companies could use it to process certain claims, and postal companies could use it for payment on delivery, and so on and so on.
Ethereum was built to truly push the limitations of what smart contracts could do, allowing for the creation of decentralized applications, or dApps, as they're more commonly referred to today. This is all made possible due to the EVM, or Ethereum Virtual Machine, which is behind the execution of the smart contracts.
Ethereum is crucial for smart contracts as it was built specifically to facilitate their creation and execution. And one of the key aspects of Ethereum is its Turing completeness. In computer science, a system or a language is said to be Turing complete if it can solve any computational problem given enough resources.
When Ethereum did finally launch in 2015 with its release called Frontier, it gave users the ability to mine Ether and, yeah, you guessed it, create and execute smart contracts. One of the most famous, or should I say infamous, examples of smart contracts being used early on was called the DAO, which was a serious shit show. The DAO, or Decentralized Autonomous Organization, was basically a smart contract that was meant to help fund future projects on the Ethereum blockchain. So basically, an investor-directed venture capital fund that was launched in April of 2016 via an ICO, or initial coin offering. The idea was pretty solid, at least in theory. However, once reality eventually caught up with the DAO's grandiose ambitions, things went downhill. Fast. An exploit was discovered in the smart contract code by a hacker, who subsequently began draining the DAO of its funds. At the time, this was a watershed event in crypto, as two important things happened here. First, the public got a lesson on how smart contracts were not yet ready for prime time and would need a lot more care and attention in the future when putting them together. Secondly, it forced the entire industry to look in the mirror and ask themselves just how committed they were to the ethos of decentralization. Due to the outrage from the community who were watching their funds being stolen in real time thanks to the nature of blockchain tech, a fateful decision was made. And that decision was to hard fork Ethereum, creating a new version which would be branded as Ethereum, and then rebranding the original hacked version of Ethereum to Ethereum Classic, which still exists to this day.
This was an exciting time in the cryptocurrency world. Ethereum was still really young. The DAO was essentially a venture capital governance model that let the public decide how their own funds would be invested. In this case, they'd raised $139 million worth of Ether, and then things went wildly wrong.
Many people believe that this move proved that the cryptocurrency industry wasn't truly committed to decentralization, seeing it now as simply a buzzword used to lure investment capital into the space. The reasoning here is pretty easy to see, too. A small number of people involved in Ethereum ultimately made the decision to hard fork it in an effort to preserve their wealth. However, this also meant that there was now a centralized form of governance in play, which, as you can probably start to see, utterly defeats the entire purpose of having a decentralized industry. You cannot have things decentralized when it suits you and then abandon those principles when it no longer does. And yet this is exactly what happened here, and it's still a controversial topic in many crypto OG circles. All I'm gonna say here is that most of my friends invested into the DAO at the time, and I avoided it like the plague, having an uneasy feeling about the project the entire time. This is why, no matter how sophisticated technology becomes, you should always listen to your gut, because nothing can replace it. Not surprisingly, this embarrassing debacle put the public's faith in both ICOs and smart contracts in doubt for a while. And this saw a legion of new memes being created around them to poke fun. Because, well, that's what we do in crypto.
Y me llama el cocinero. Risita, ¿qué? Ve por la paellera. Venga, que las 2 de la tarde ya están aquí. Miren, bañador. En las chanclas. Todo despeinado porque no me dio tiempo nada ponerme las chanclas y el bañador. Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. Eso. Eso. Había subido la marea y encontré una paella.
Despite this stumble, the potential that smart contracts offered to humanity was simply too powerful to be held back for long. ICOs were becoming a thing in crypto, and Ethereum was the place to conduct them. And this meant that smart contracts were becoming the de facto resource for creating a token and running a crowdfunding campaign around them.
That smart contract, it's a very, very important way of ensuring that you're working with the right token. Because for example, I could create another token that's called Ethereum, launch a new token that's called whatever I want it to be called, but it wouldn't have the right smart contract address. So the way that you make sure that you're on the right chain is by always checking that smart contract.
During this time period, several other blockchain projects began to hit the scene that all had one thing in common: smart contracts to support application development. Names like Hyperledger emerged, boasting a powerful group of founding members, with one of the many offerings that the group created being Fabric, a private blockchain that allows for the use of smart contracts. The Linux Foundation founded the Hyperledger project and got some serious crypto street cred when they announced that IBM, yes, International Business Machines, was one of their partners. You can see that some of the big boys of the technology space saw a future for distributed ledger technology, of which blockchains are a subset of. In September of 2017, Ethereum co-founder Charles Hoskinson, I swear there's gotta be like 100 of these Ethereum co-founders around these days, he created Cardano, his take on what a smart contract-based blockchain should be. It's a proof-of-stake network that focuses on the creation of decentralized applications and protocols, and it's gone on to become one of the most popular networks for both usage and investment purposes. More recently, several other competitors in the smart contract space have emerged, including Solana, who launched in March of 2020. Its aim is to cater to both developers and power users, focusing on scalability while offering fast and cheap payments. Another one of these challengers to the smart contract throne that emerged in 2020 was Polkadot. They have made a concerted effort to focus on the growing Web3 space, which greatly relies upon the prowess of smart contracts. There are now literally hundreds of smart contract-based blockchain projects operating out there today. All of them can be used, well, except for Solana, which seems to have more outages than the local power company here in Antigua. So yeah, there's that. But even Solana has been getting their act together lately, and arguably has one of the most compelling offerings in the entire smart contract space, so much so that we're dedicating an entire episode to them. And if you want to experience the power of smart contracts on Bitcoin as Satoshi Nakamoto envisioned all those years ago, well, you can do just that today via Bitcoin SV, the SV standing for Satoshi's Vision. Its claim to fame being that it's the only true version of the original Bitcoin protocol from back in the day, except now it's putting an equal amount of attention on being regulatorily compliant across all jurisdictions. And this is something that will likely hold serious value long term as regulators continue to apply pressure to companies and the technologies that they've built. One example of a sector in crypto that's grown to be hugely popular and only possible due to smart contracts is decentralized finance, or DeFi. Regardless of what blockchain they're built on, these offerings have helped usher in an army of new users that are looking for investment alternatives to the traditional financial world. Platforms like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Aave, and Compound have all enjoyed tremendous levels of success, and they owe most of that success to smart contracts. While we've focused a lot on the fungible side of things so far, it's actually the NFT or non-fungible token sector that's benefited the most from smart contracts. Whether it's the metaverse, music, gaming, profile pictures, or fashion, if it's living in the Web3 space, then it's likely powered by smart contracts. Ethereum has once again benefited greatly by seeing the bulk of NFT action take place on its network, a big reason why it remains the #2 blockchain in the world behind Bitcoin. However, projects like Flow, Wax, and Tezos have also seen their fair share of smart contract usage when it comes to powering the Web3 space. So as you can see, these nifty little self-executing contracts are now responsible for a ridiculous amount of the use cases that exist today in crypto. So while Saul Goodman probably isn't going to be replaced by a Solidity developer just yet, in the future, he and other lawyers may have to start paying attention to this growing technological trend.
There are laws, detective. Have your kindergarten teacher read them to you, right? Go grab a juice box, have a nap, go on.
I hope you enjoyed today's stroll down memory lane. Until next time, have fun and enjoy life, my friends. I'll be back soon with another incredible story to tell you.